Hello, everyone. It's great to have you here today. It's nice to be here. This is the 12th edition of our live demo, and I'm so happy to be here. My name is Confident, and it's great to have everyone here. Do you know what? Can you say hello in the chat so that we can meet you? And also drop in where you are joining in from. We would love to know. All right. So today's live demo would be about workflow automation using Zapier and Appsmith. And I know right now that you're wondering, why would you want to do this? Why is this important? For one thing, as humans, we hate repeating ourselves. I personally do not like it, and I'm sure you also do not like repeating yourself also. And one other thing we do not enjoy doing is routine work. So the question is, why not automate the boring stuff so that you can free up yourself to do more important work? This is exactly what I'll be showing you today. So let us get started. I'm sure you're wondering at this point, what would we be building in today's demo? So today's demo is going to be about automating a newsletter workflow using Appsmith and Zapier. And the goal here is to show you how to do it so that you can take these principles and ideas to build your own app to simplify your workflow. And as a bonus, I'll show you how to embed the newsletter app we'll be building in a personal blog. This is the personal blog I have right here, which looks really cool. Oh, you can't see my screen, so I'm just going to enable my screen right now. All right, yeah, this is the blog I was talking about, which looks really cool. So we're going to be building this app right here. Yeah, thank you, Abhishek. So we're going to be building this app right here. And like I mentioned earlier, this is a newsletter app that we can embed in the personal blog. So the app has a sign up page, which is the screen you see right here. And the second app part of the app is a management dashboard. So for folks who signed up using the first part of the app, I would have their names and email appear here. And you can go in to select those people you want the newsletter to be sent to. And you can use this form to decide to fill in the subject and the body of the newsletter and click on the send button to actually send out those emails. So this is what we are going to be reading today, and I think we can get started. So the first thing we need to do is we will need to build out the UI for the sign up form. And right here I have an empty page. So what I need to do is to go to the widget section and then drop in a tab widget. The reason why we're using a tab widget here is because the sign up form has two views. So going back to the built app, so I'm just going to show you the sign up form. After this has been filled and clicking on subscribe, you see that we have a thank you screen showing up. So we need two views in order to accomplish this. And for that, we need to make use of a tab widget. So I have a tab widget right here. I would need to expand this. All right, this looks good. The next thing I'll need to do is to name my tabs accordingly. So the first view would be for the form. Right, so this is going to be for the form. And the second view is going to be for the thank you screen. So this is going to be thanks. All right, and we have those tabs showing up. For the form view, I'll need to use a form widget. So I'm just going to grab a form widget right here and place it within the form view. Okay. All right, and I can go in to expand this. And then we have a nice form. I would not need the text widget here, so I'm just going to delete it. The first thing we need to drop in the form view is an image for the header. So I need an image widget. So I'm just going to place this right here. All right. And expand this to take up the entire top space of the form. And we need to supply a URL for the image. So I'm just going to do that right now. For the image URL, I have the image URL right there. And we have a nice image showing up as the banner for the form. All right, I think I need to, yeah, that looks good now. The other things we need in the form is a couple of inputs. So we need one for the first name, we need another for the last name, and also for the email field. So I'm just going to bring in an input widget, place it right here. And we also need a text widget. So I'm going to place this right here as well. All right, so connect them by dragging the inputs all the way along. And we have those two widgets beside each other. So because I'll need this a couple of times, I am just going to copy paste this, copy and paste times. All right. And I will need to bring these buttons away, move these buttons out of the way so that I can easily move what I have copied to the top. So let's drag them here. These do not want to move in position. So let's do this one more time. Okay, so I'm just going to move them individually. And move this also. All right. Also need to move this and move this right here. No, not that. Move the text. All right, this looks good. And then we can bring the buttons right here into the form. All right, we have the submit button. I think I need to expand this form a bit because we are running out of space here. So I need to expand this and also bring this down a bit. All right, that looks better. And I can expand this all the way and also bring this in and expand this all the way as well. So let's bring this down a bit and we can put some space in between. All right, now that looks good. So for the input, the first input we need right here is for the first name. So I'm just going to call this first name. All right. And we can similarly name this input widget to first name. Okay. So we also need to collect the last name as a data field. So this is going to be last name. All right. And similarly, we would need to update this to last name. And lastly, we need to collect the email address of whoever is signing up. So this is going to be email. And similarly, this would be email. And we can also set the data type of the email input to be of type email so that we have some built-in validation added in there for us. For the submit button, we can go into style this a bit. So I'm just going to go to the colors section, set this to blue, and that looks nice. Same also goes for the reset button. I'm just going to scroll down, set this similarly to be blue. And here we have a nice form showing up. We also need to configure the thank you screen. So I would need to bring in an image widget for that. So let's go to the thank you screen and then bring in an image widget right here. And I can expand this to take up the entire space. And let's put in the image URL for the thank you image. And we also need a button here to be able to go back to the main page. So I can easily make use of an icon button here and set the icon to be the left arrow. All right. We can also set this to blue and set the button variant to secondary. And this looks really good. So we are having the form styled based on the theme that is used in our blog post. And this is really nice. So this underscores that right now with Appsmith, you can go into style your applications to look exactly the way you want them to. So the next thing we need to do here is to configure a workflow in Zapier that would allow us to send emails. One other thing we want to do is that we want to be able to save the details of whoever is signing up using this form to an Airtable store or an Airtable base. We have an Airtable base right here. This is the newsletter base that has been prepared for this. And then we go out to send the thank you email. So I'm just going to head over to Zapier right now and create a new Zap. And the first node in this Zap would be a webhook. So we have a webhook right here. And we need to set the trigger event for this to be a catch hook. The reason for this is so that we can send up post requests to the webhook. So I'm going to click on continue. I'm going to copy the webhook URL because I need that. And we can click on continue to test the trigger. All right, so going back to the application on Appsmith, what I need to do is to create an API resource to connect to the Zapier webhook. So for that, head over to data sources. I'm going to create a new API, and here we have create a new API. So let's call this sign up, all right? And it's going to be a post request to the webhook we got from Zapier. So this is post request, and I'm going to paste in the Zapier URL right here. For the post request, we need to pass in some body. So I need to pass in a JSON body. This body is going to have a couple of fields. The first field we will need to send up will be the first name. And we can pull the value for the first name from the first name input. So this is first name dot text, right? Similarly, we need to send up the last name. And this is going to come from last name dot text, as you already guessed. And we also need to send up the email. So let's not forget email. And this is going to come from email.text. And there we have a nice body for this. And you can see the evaluated value, it's empty right now. So what we need to do here is that we need to go back to the page and hook up the submit button to the sign up API we just created. And then after making the call to execute that API, we need to show up the thank you screen right here. So in order to do this, I would need to configure the tab widget to read the default tab from the store, and I can manipulate the value from the store whenever we click the submit button. So this is going to be appsmith.store.tab. We don't have anything right now, that's why it's blank. So I need to head over here to set the on-click action for the submit button. So when this is clicked on, what I need to do is to execute the sign up query. And when it is successful, I want to go to store a value to the Appsmith store. So for the key, this is going to be tab. And for the value, this is going to be the name of the thank you tab, which is thanks in this case. So this is thanks. All right. And we similarly need to head back here to do exactly the same. So for the icon button here, whenever it is clicked on, what we want to do is to store a value to the store. And so this is going to be tab. And when this is clicked on, we want to go to the form view. So this is going to be form. And this looks good. So now that I have all of this configured, I can go in to hide the tab here so that it looks really neat. All right. And there we have a really neat looking form. So for us to test this, can someone in the chat send up their details? Can you send me your email address so that we can test this with some real data? So I'm just going to wait a bit for someone to send us their email. Did you guys hear my request? So I would like someone in the chat to send us their email so that I can use this in the form to see if everything works fine. I would like to receive your email address, please, because that is the most important thing I need to fill out in the form. So please send up your email address so that we can test this. Okay, so we have Aman sharing his details. Aman, can you send up your email address, please? Seems I'm not getting any response here. So I'm just going to go ahead to use mine for now. When someone else sends up theirs, then I can change this up. Okay, so for the first name, I'm just going to put in my name. And same want to go to my last name and my email. All right, and this looks good. So I'm going to click on the submit button, and the submit button will go ahead to call the webhook as well as navigate to the thank you page. So I'm just going to click on this. And there we have the thank you page showing up. Everything works fine. And going back to the Zapier workflow, when I click on test trigger, I should get the data sent up in the form showing up right here. And you can see that that's exactly what we have showing up right here. So we can go to continue to build this workflow in Zapier. All right, so the first thing we want to do after receiving the data from the webhook is that we want to send up an email to thank the person for signing up for the newsletter. So I'm going to be using the Gmail app here. And for the event, we would need to send out an email. So I'm going to click on continue. All right, select the Gmail account I want to use for this and click on continue. All right, so this is where I go to configure the details for sending out this email. I need to put in a value for the email we want this to be sent to, and we can easily grab that value from the webhook. So this is going to be the catchhook.email, which is the email we got from the sign up form right here. We also need to select a from value. I'm just going to select my Gmail account. We need to set a subject. So we have the subject right here, which is thanks for signing up for my newsletter. And we want to specify a body as well. So I'm just going to put a body I have right here. And here we would want the first name to be mentioned. So when this email gets sent out, it is going to be, hey, whatever the individual's first name is, thanks for signing up for my newsletter. You will now receive lovely weekly emails from me. And that's how it will be sent out. Then we can click on the continue field so that we can test this out. And to test this, I'm just going to click on the test button right here. And I need to go to Gmail to see if this comes in. So let's reload this. And taking a look at this, we have that email coming in. So we have everything working as expected right now. The next thing we need to do here is to store this information to the Airtable base. So we have an Airtable base. Let's go into save this email into the base. So I'm just going to create a new app. No, let's go back to setup. So I need to create a new app after the Gmail workflow, and this is going to be for Airtable. All right. And for the event, this is going to be create record and click on continue. We need to select the Airtable account. So that's the Airtable account I want to use. Click on continue. And for the base, this is going to be in my demo base in the newsletter table. So we have the newsletter table. Yeah, and this looks good. So for the email field, we similarly can pull this from the webhook.email. For the first name, we can pull this from the webhook.firstname. And same also goes for the last name. This is going to be coming from the webhook.lastname. And this looks good. So I can click on continue to finish this up and test this by clicking on the test button. And going back to my Airtable base, you can see that we have that record created on the database to show that everything works as expected. So let's turn on this Zap. But before that, I need to give this a name. So let's name this. I'm going to call this newsletter. Sign up. Cool. So click on turn on Zap, and we have this ready to go. All right. So going back to the application, we have the entire sign-up flow completely configured, and everything here looks good. And the next thing we want to do is to build out the dashboard to manage newsletters. And for that, I have a starter app here with all the UI components we need to have the app ready to go. The things I'll need to do here would be to connect it to the Airtable base so that we have the subscribers showing up in this table, and also configure the flow that allows us to send up emails after filling out the form right here. So in order to do that, I need to write a query to get subscribers from the Airtable base. So let's go to do that. This is going to be data sources. I already have an Airtable-based authenticated endpoint here. So I'm just going to use this to create a new API. And this is going to be get subscribers. All right, it's going to be a get request to the base URL and then the table name. So let's run this to see if this works. Yes, and it does. And we have some data coming in right here. The next thing I want to do here is to display this data in the table we have on the canvas. So I'm just going to click on connect to widget and select the widget. I want this to be connected to the table widget. And we see that the binding has been automatically pre-filled right here. The only reason why you don't have the data showing up in the table is because we have some nested data within the results that comes from the query. So we have some records, and after which we have the actual data. So let's display the records. So this is going to be data.records. And we have some data showing up right here. But the real data about the individual's details are actually in the fields key. So we need to map over this. So this is going to be records.map. And for each record, we just want to return the fields. And taking a look at what we have here, we have the details showing up as well on the table. And this is exactly what we have coming from Airtable showing up now within the newsletter management app. All right. The next thing we want to do here is that we want it such that we would be able to select people from the table so that we can send out emails to those subscribers. And for that, we need to write some JavaScript because we need to find a way to extract just the email address of those whom we want the email sent to, and then send out the email using the addresses of subscribers that have been selected from the table we have here. So in order to do that, I would need to write some JavaScript. So to show you how to do that, I'm going to bring in a text widget. And we have a text widget here. Just going to expand this a bit. I hope you can see this. All right. So what we need to do in order to extract the emails that have been selected from the table is we need to check what rows have been selected from the table and then pick up the emails from those rows. So this is going to be the table name. So this is subscribers dot selected rows. And taking a look at this, you see all the details of the subscribers that have been selected. And then we can do a map right here and just return the email. Oh, there's a dot here. Okay. Yeah, and this looks good. And taking a look at this, we have the emails of the subscribers selected right here. So if I go to deselect the first item here, you see that we'll just have only one subscriber showing up on the table. So the next thing I need to do is to create an API that can make use of this information. And for that, we need to have a Zapier workflow configured. So heading back to Zapier, I have a workflow configured specifically to send out emails. So what this workflow would do would be to receive an array of emails using the catch hook and then send out the emails using the Gmail app. So let's go to make use of this Zapier workflow. I'm just going to delete the text widget right there. And we need to create a new API. So let's create a new API. And now we can go into supply the details to connect to that hook. So let's call this send email. And this is going to be a post request to the endpoint. And for the body, we have some body here. I'm just going to copy this and paste it right here so that you can see it. And what we are doing here is similar to what we did for the form on the sign up part of the application. So for the emails field, we have that JavaScript I showed you how to write just now to extract the emails from the subscribers table. And you can see that it's an array that has just one email for now. We also have the subject field and we have the body field. And we can go back to hook this up to the submit button or the send button we have here. So when the send button is clicked on, what we want is that we want to execute a query and then go execute the send email query. And when this is successful, we can trade message to let the user of this app know that that has been successful. So I'm going to show message, and for the message, I'm going to say email sent, all right, and set the message type to be of success, and this looks good. So we can go into actually test this out. So I'm just going to enter a subject. So let's say it's a new day, and for the content, I'm going to say something like be happy, all right. And I can test this out by ensuring that I have my email selected right here and clicking on the send button. And you see that we have that email sent out. So I can verify this by heading back to my Gmail app, and you can see that that email has been sent and I have this received right here. All right, so now we have the newsletter manager app ready to go. So I can go ahead to deploy this, and we have everything working nicely. And similarly, we also want to deploy the sign up form. So let's call this, rename this to newsletter sign up. All right. And I can also similarly go ahead to deploy this. So let's head back so that we can see the form. And this looks nice. The last thing I'm going to show you is how to embed the sign up form into an already existing app or website. So if you have a website and you want your Appsmith apps to be embedded, this is exactly how you need to do that. So the first thing you need to do is to make sure that the application is public. So I'm just going to share the application and make sure the app is public by clicking on the switch right here. And then I'll go ahead to copy the application URL. Then in my code base, I'm just going to share a screen that points to my code base right now so that you can see this. All right, so I believe you can see my code base right now. So this is my code base for the blog I showed you earlier. All you need to do here is to make use of an iframe element. So this is going to be iframe. All right, and go ahead to paste in the URL of the application that you want to be embedded. So I have that there. I'm just going to save this. And now let's go back to the browser so that you can see what my website looks like right now. So I'm just going to share my browser screen. All right, so going back to my blog, I think I have this reloaded. Yeah. So going back to my blog, you can see that we now have the newsletter sign up app showing up inside my website, and this looks cool. The only thing that I would not like is that I do not want the Appsmith header bar showing up right here. It doesn't look good in an embedded app. So what I can do is to head back to my code base. So I'm just going to head back to where I have my code and show you how to hide that really quickly. All right. So here in the application URL, oh, you can't see this yet. All right. So here in the application URL, all you need to do is to add a query parameter that says embed equal to true. Save this and let's head back to the browser. And as you can see, we have that top bar completely removed. And this looks really neat and looks really nice. So this is how you can embed your Appsmith apps into a personal website and blog. And by building this out, you've been able to see how to use Appsmith. Oh, you can't see my screen. Sorry about that. I am just going to go back here so that you can see this. All right, so this is my website. Yeah, this is my website. And scrolling down, you can see that we have the top bar completely removed, and it looks really clean and nice right now. Yeah, so this is exactly how you can embed apps from your Appsmith app into your personal website or blog so as to have everything in one place. All right. So we have been able to see how to automate workflows using Zapier and Appsmith. I hope you learned a couple of things from this demo, and I'm sure you're going to use these ideas as you go on to build your own apps. So for now, I'm going to take a couple of questions from members in the community. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat and I'll try my best to answer your questions. So please feel free to ask any questions that you have. Oh, so there's a question right here from S. Can you see this? So he asks, can you build these workflows using anything instead of Zapier? Yes, you can do this with anything, and it works exactly the same way. And we've made previous videos and even previous live demos showing you how to build these workflow automations using anything. So yes, you can definitely do this using anything as well. Thank you. So do we have more questions? Still going to hang around a bit, so please feel free to ask any questions you may have. Okay, so we have this question: can we go directly to a tab? Yes. So there are two ways you can do this. I'm just going to head back to the app to show you. Oh, sorry, I deleted that. I'm just going to bring it back. All right. So you can manually, when the app is deployed, so I'm just going to deploy this so that you see how this looks like. So when the app is deployed, you can still have both tabs showing up. So you can manually click on a button to visit a specific tab. But what we did in this demo is that we made the transition automatic. So this was hidden. And when you click on the submit button, it automatically takes you to the thank you tab. And you can click on the back button to go back to the form tab. So you can make it happen programmatically as well as manually. So it depends on the design choice you want to use in your application. You would need to specify the tab name like we did right here. So in the back button here, what I did was to specify the name of the tab I want to go back to. And this is the form tab, which is the tab right here. And I was reading that value from the store after saving it in the store as the default tab. So that made it possible to switch tabs easily. So there's this question from Paolo. So he asks that, is there an open source alternative to Zapier? Yes, there is. We just talked about Anything. So I'm just going to show this real quick to you. So this is anything.io. Okay, so this is it. And this is anything.io. So I'm just going to leave a link to the chat in case you want to check this out. This is exactly like, you can use this to do exactly what we did using Zapier, and it's completely open source, so you can check this out. So I'm just going to take one more question here. Okay, so S asks, can we land on a specific tab, I mean from another page? Yes. So you can do this by navigating to the page that has the tab. But before performing that navigation, you can store the value of the tab you want to show up in the store and then perform the navigation. And similarly, you can read that value from the store using the default tab property we have right here to show the specific tab you want to be shown up. So you save the name of the tab you want to navigate to. You save the name of the tab you want to show up and then perform the navigation. And on getting to that page, you can read that value from the store and show the appropriate tab using the tab widget. Yeah, so you can do it using both the store value and the navigate to functions. You can combine those two functions to achieve this. All right, so we are going to end the demo section today right here. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming into today's demo. It was nice having all of you here, and I'm going to see you in the next demo we would have. All right, take care. Bye-bye.